Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of four, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham. We got BK running the show as usual off camera this time. And my brother Al Peng.
Thanks for
brother?
having me.
Able Shepherd 043. And for our true enthusiasts, aficionados, followers, whatever, 4 years ago, Al and Steve Klein, we were at Centennial Gun Club across the way in their Statesman's Lounge, and we were recording part 1 and 2 of this conversation. This must be part 3, right?
Yep.
The Camino De Santiago. And we talked about what it was. And if you've been tracking, you know this. My oldest daughter, my two oldest, so it'd be Rebecca and Sarah, will be 17 and 15 years old this year. We depart in June for the Camino de Santiago. If you don't know what that is, it is a pilgrimage walk. The traditional Francais starts in France and then walks across Spain to Santiago, as the pilgrims did years ago, and I'll let you fill in on this, to visit Santiago, where the remains of St. James are in the cathedral. That's not exactly why we're doing it, but it's a cool story, it's a cool walk. I'm getting super excited, because we just talked about this forever ago. We've been saving up, we've been planning for it, and now, man, I'm like 4 or 5 months out.
It's almost here.
Yeah, so you've done this, which is what sparked the whole deal, a portion of it. What is it, and what was your part that you did?
Yeah, so this trek, the pilgrims did this. I think this started about 1,000 years ago, right? The remains of St. James, or the Apostle James, is there at the Santiago de Compostela, is the end point to this journey. And people would trek this for religious purposes, spiritual purposes, healing. Some were made to do this for criminal things that happened as a way to pay back.
Penance.
Penance, yes. We just did it for more of a spiritual.
So it wasn't a penance?
Self. Yeah, hopefully not, right? But wanted to kind of do this journey with my son. My sister brought this up to do with him. And yeah, just a self-spiritual kind of learn about yourself journey, and to have something to look back on years later now, with something I did with my son 5 years ago. So really,
did you document it? Did you pictures, recordings?
More pictures.
Did you have a regiment per day, or just go?
I mean, more pictures every day. I'm a picture taker.
Yeah,
I like to look back and reminisce and have some historical evidence of us doing things like this. I wish I recorded more. I wish I took more pictures. But I have a lot, and it's great to go back and reminisce with my son and look at all the places we went and all the adventures we had out there. It was great, fantastic.
And that's a catch-22, because you want to enjoy it, but I've told, like in my men's groups, and I think in the book, I can't remember, but we talk about, I say take pictures. Why? Because I've been that guy too many times where somebody's like, hey, did you hear about so-and-so? We lost another guy, maybe in the SEAL teams, maybe in family, maybe whatever. And you're the guy digging in the Rubbermaid container in the basement trying to find that one picture that you remember, but there should have been 50, you know what I mean? So when you're doing something like that, also, I've just been blessed where I've had some documented adventures, like the Ride for Lance, which is a movie on Amazon Prime. I can go back and revisit that whenever I want. So it wasn't just once. I can go back all the time and check that out. But there's that balance of, hey man, enjoy the adventure. So you don't want to be like a director, while you're doing like, hey, move 2 steps left, and you're like, man, let's go, let's walk, just eat your, whatever, paella, whatever. It's like, come on. So you've got some pictures of it, but you just kind of just went.
Yeah, just went, took documented pictures of pretty much, the journey you sometimes do on your own. You separate from your group, and every time I saw something really nice, we'd take pictures, or take pictures of the cities with our friends that we met on this journey. But yeah, it's great to be able to go back and reminisce, like you say, and have the evidence there that you did do it.
And that's a good point, because you're saying it's a family thing. You're together, and it was your sister and your son,
Yes.
And you, and now you're going, and you're like, you want to communicate, but maybe some time for yourself. Because in my mind, it dawns on me now, like this. I'm gonna blink, and my daughter Rebecca won't live in my home, and that freaks me out. And then Sarah's not long after. This is kind of getting bigger in my mind of there's so many conversations I wanted to have. There's so many things I wanted to teach you, and that window's closing, and it's terrifying. So this has become that space, right?
Yeah.
And they're drop dead gorgeous, both of them. Just thank God they look like their mama and not like their daddy. But they're good. And I've already laid down the ground rules of like, listen, these little Spanish boys roll up. It's like, brother, you better back up. So one term they know, jale cucaracha, like beat it, roach. This is dad's time. It's like, that's the deal.
That's great.
And I know that we're going to talk to people, and I know that, but it's like, this is our deal, and I'm so excited about it.
And you'll have the time to talk through what you haven't been able to do yet.
Yes.
You have so much time out there with your girls that you'll be able to bring those points up and teach them more while you're there. And I mean, all you're doing is walking, looking at the ground, looking ahead, looking at the views, and either thinking your own thoughts or having conversation.
And I love that all the distractions. I'll have my phone, and we'll talk about comms and all that, but I'll have my phone. But we've already got some ground rules of we're going to start the morning with a devotion. We're going to launch. We're going to use it to navigate, but not to talk. In the evenings, when we get there, then we're going to do laundry, because we're only taking 2. So it's wash this one, then put it, put on the clean stuff, take the other stuff, wash it right now, hang it up, let it dry. Let's go to dinner. Change out your shoes. Let's go to dinner, right? And that kind of an everyday thing. So that's super exciting. And then an interview. I'm going to interview them every night. And if we miss one, not a big deal. I don't want to just be crazy about it, but I just did that during the ride, and I cherish it, right? So from those, you get a story that you can put together later. So that's super cool. Like as we're getting closer, and I've got so many questions, so I want to launch into.
Yeah.
We talked about a little bit about this. Is you took a different route? You did a little bit of a trip before, is that right?
Yes.
So tell me about that. International flights. You just went on Expedia, got your flights, and just took off, right?
Yep. Got our flights. We flew out of San Francisco. Into Lisbon, Portugal.
Yeah. Oh, and real quick, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Encourage you to look into this. There's so much stuff. I'm on Camino Forum. There's Buen Camino. There's the Santiago Ways. There's all this other stuff. But consider this, because I think that be still and know that I'm God. Take a second and just slow down, or plan it for a couple years out like I did, or just go. But I want people to watch this and consider it and look into it and say, maybe you're just that guy that's getting after it as a businessman. And maybe you go by yourself and you just go find yourself. Maybe you just, all that kind of stuff. Spend time with God and walk. Maybe you take your son. That's inspiring. Because mom, when the girls turned 13, she took them to Florida and went through this thing called Passport to Purity, where they could ask anything, and it was a guide, and they went through and filled it out, and they talked. And all that. But that was them. They came back, and I did a dinner. We talked a bit, and I gave them a little ring, right, and told them what that meant. Like, the guy that replaces that, he better measure up. Like, if you marry a better man than me, awesome. You know what I mean? Right. But he ain't going to be no knucklehead, whatever. So, and they take that very seriously. But I didn't have that several days or week in Florida, right, with them. With Christian, that would be my turn, and I'll have that. And we have our motorcycle rides. So this kind of is that thing. And good on you for taking your son and doing that. Yeah. But yeah. So you get there, you travel there.
Yeah. So we got into Lisbon. We ended up going to San Sebastian first. It's on the northern coast of Spain, a little beach town, gorgeous. Yeah. Spent a few days there, and then we traveled in, took a bus to Saint Jean Pied de Port, actually a train. Took a bus down and then took a train into the city where the Camino de France starts. Mm-hmm. And that's where we began the journey. So,
did you plan that from here, or did you get there and just say, like,
we planned everything? Okay, we planned everything out to the T. So we knew exactly where we were going to go. We had all the reservations lined out, even where we were going to stay. It's a busy time during the summertime, so we didn't know if you get to a city, you don't have reservations. Are you going to get a place to stay? Yeah. Are you going to get a bed?
So am I crazy? Because I'm thinking about not maybe doing the first couple nights, and then I've heard people doing this where even via the app, they reserve ahead 2 days, but it's kind of winging it. And then you risk, like, are you going to have a bed, right? So I don't know. And then through research, Rome did something, and you know, this is a primary Catholic thing, though that's not why we're going, but the roots are Catholicism, and you know, to go walk that far for a saint, not to be disrespectful or anything, it's just not our bag, right? So obviously praying to Jesus and doing the thing, but they predict that a lot of Catholics are going to be going to Rome. And I'm like, and it may actually thin things out a little bit. And also we're going northern route across the coast, which isn't as popular as the Française.
The one that we did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure on the forums that you're browsing and reading up and asking questions on, I would ask the questions to people, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that did just that.
Yeah.
And they can let you know, like, oh, it was not a good idea to do that. Because there were times we didn't get a bed or a hostel to stay in.
And I got to be considerate of the two young ladies, because you know me, I'm like, and we had to sleep in the park and it was awesome. You know what I mean? It's like,
just had a
what?
blanket.
Yeah. So we're just like, I don't know, we begged and the
fine.
group gave us some blankets and we just went in the bush. You know, and they're like, Dad, this actually sucks.
Right. And one of the reasons why we did not just fly by the seat of our pants like that, I didn't want to bring a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do that, there is a risk that you're not going to get a bed. And do you have a sleeping bag, or what are you going to do if you don't have one? So we did not want the wait.
Yeah.
So we planned everything in advance, made the reservations, and had everything all done. Yeah.
So you get San Sebastian, then you take
took a bus down and took a train into St. Jean Pied de Port.
Yeah.
And then from there, you get in usually early afternoon, maybe 1 o'clock. And the typical person or hiker stays in St. Jean Pied de Port that night. Mm-hmm. And then the next day they start. We, however, started that same day we got into town and just stayed in Orison at the top of the Pyrenees. We decided to split that first day because it's a long day of hiking, ascending and descending in one day. We decided, let's just go up halfway, spend the night, and then we can descend the second day.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, because the first day we got there, it was sunny, skies were gorgeous. The hike up, you can see the Pyrenees. The next day, it was cloudy, rainy. So everybody that stayed in Saint Jean Pied de Port and waited to the next day to hike the Pyrenees couldn't see anything.
It's 20 feet in front of them the whole day.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And so you said late June, mid-June? Where were you at?
Like mid-June.
Mid-June, okay. Yep. So how was the weather overall? Do you remember much rain or?
Really, the rain was the first or the second day. Okay. Coming down from the Pyrenees, the top of the Pyrenees, that was really the only day that rained for us. It was cold in from France to Spain. Mm-hmm. Once we were in Spain, though, it started heating up. By the third day, it was getting in the hundreds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, whereas, in the Pyrenees, you're up in the mountains, it's a lot cooler.
Yep.
So we were shedding blankets and
we'll be early June, so from what I hear, a little cooler and a little more stable on the
whole route, probably.
Yeah, because we're on the north and we're going to take Norte across the coast. So as we're walking the coast, there's multiple routes, by the way. I'm like 7, 9, something like that.
I don't know the exact number, but there are.
And much like the seashell, which is the symbol, they all end in Santiago. So all of those routes end up here. So they're, whatever.
Right.
And by the seashell, I mean, when you got there, you got there and took care of all that stuff there.
Yes. So once we got to the town, Saint Jean Pied de Port, there is the Compostela, I guess, office, the main office.
Because that's that's the starting point for the traditional the biggest one. Yeah.
Right. The most popular.
Most popular.
So we stopped in the office. We, I guess, registered. They give you a passport and they give you the shell.
Yeah.
With a little string that you can attach to your backpack or whatever.
Yeah. Marking you as a pilgrim.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we kind of started the day with. And then after that, we started our hike.
Yeah.
It was great.
That's cool. So what I pre-ordered, there's a guy, Ivar, on CaminoForum.com. It's a business. He's in Santiago, done many of these, and he kind of helps you out with it. You can pre-order, and those will be delivered to our house. So instead of, exchanging cash and then going there and saying, where do we get our stuff? We'll already have it. It's from there. They just send it to you. So now you just get off and go, let's get to it. Let's get to the hotel, get some rest, and then we're heading west.
Yeah.
That's the deal. So that's super cool. On that with cash, card, and all that, do you remember taking cash and exchanging it? Did you use card mostly? How'd that work?
We exchanged the money here in the States before we left.
Oh, gotcha.
So we had some money here in cash, and we had credit cards. So I made sure my son had a credit card. We tried to make sure they didn't have any international fees, and just as a backup, in case we separated, he didn't have money and needed to do something, he had a credit card he could use.
So you primarily went cash. It was a
Yes.
backup. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mostly cash for the meals and everything there. It seemed a little bit easier to go that route.
And were you hoteling it? So albergues, as I understand it, albergues are like a hostel.
It's like a hostel.
It's like a hostel, and some of them are homes.
Right.
Some of them are like a monastery where you could sleep in a monastery with 100 snoring dudes, right?
Yeah.
With the ear pro, and you're like, oh man,
Yes. Yes.
So these are all options based on budget or 5-star hotel. It's like you can
pick and choose
do
what you
whatever
wanna
kind
do.
of thing. Yeah.
And we did do the monastery in Roncesvalles where you see the rows of bunks, on each floor.
Yeah.
There's like hundreds of bunks just all
And
up
you did that?
down. We did do
Oh,
that.
how was it? How was
You
it?
gotta do it.
You got to do it. That's
You
all.
gotta
I
try
want
and
all
see
that.
it. And it was-
I say
it
that
was
now,
really
and they're
cool.
like, Dad. Part of this is that Rachel and I remember talking when you have those conversations when you're, when you're getting married, when you're getting serious. It's like one of my goals. I remember this was getting my children out of the country to see the world before they go judging it. Like the college kids that are like, I'm going to change the world. I'm like, you don't know the world. You know Douglas County, Colorado, which is a safe bubble, created by people that aspire to do more, blah, blah, blah. But for them to see the world and go like, ooh, this is different. Like they live there, they do this, and this is what these people do, like all that kind of stuff, and appreciate it. And there's goodness all over, but you've got a really good deal. And then you get back home. And that I can't wait to see them sleep in a room full of bunk beds, right? It's like they're like, we're sleeping here, like you're sleeping here.
And there's some that are maintained really well.
Yeah.
Like the one in Roncesvalles was very high end, very clean. It seemed almost brand new. And we weren't sure. We're like, let's just try it. We got to see what it's like. But the night before in Orison, the little hostel up at the top of the Pyrenees was probably the dirtiest and nastiest. You go in there, all you have is a mattress, a dirty mattress.
And is it like
in a bunk bed?
The plastic coated jail mat? Not that I expect you to know that, but some of us have
it could be
stayed on the local.
It was actually the cloth mattress.
Oh, that's even creepier.
So you don't know what's in that or on that.
So you did a sleep sack, I call it a sleep sack. You call it a sleep sack. The zipper thing, almost like sleeping bag material, paper thin with a zipper.
Yes.
To say to keep you off the cooties, right?
Yes, absolutely. And before we left the States, we sprayed them with bug spray to make sure to hopefully prevent the
just
bed
a layer
bugs from
of,
getting out of there.
yeah.
And then you put it in your backpack, and now you got bed bugs infesting everything. So we tried to
just
try
another
to be
layer
mindful
of
protect us
of confidence,
right?
Whether it's doing anything or not, right? These are like Spanish bed bugs. They're like, you kidding me, man? This is like cologne. Bring it. Yeah, oh man. So we did order. I ordered them 2 of those. We checked them out over Christmas, and they got on it, got in them, and all that kind of stuff. I got to order one for me still. Kind of the silk weight deal.
Yep.
So clothing, talk to me about clothing and gear. I know where you stand on shoes, but I want to hear it again because I just bought some, what you recommended.
Yeah.
I need to start training in the what do you call them, zero drop or whatever you call them, the flat.
The zero drop
right.
shoes.
Because I know you said that you had, so talk to me about head to toe.
Yeah.
Head to toe. What'd you pack? What was in your pack?
Let's see. So sun hat.
Yeah.
Number one, you got to have that because it's going to be sunny. You don't want to get sunburned because that's just another thing you're going to have to deal with when you're out there. So sun hat, sunscreen. I had sunglasses, more so clip-ons for these. So just one thing I was thinking about before tonight, I wear contacts and I wear glasses. And I was thinking, it's dirty. I don't want to have to put contacts in and out.
Yeah.
Get an infection in my eye, and then I've got a whole nother problem. So I decided to go with my glasses, and I had my clip-on sunglasses, and that's what I used.
Yeah.
So for anybody that wears contacts, think hard about whether you want to do that. Bring a bottle of saline. That's more weight in your backpack as well. So you got to carry that around and consider, the sanitary conditions of the bathrooms you're at.
I've heard 10% of your body weight. How'd you do with that? Because that means 20 pounds for me, a little less. With the girls, it's not much at all.
I went more. We had about 20, my pack was about 21, 22 pounds that I trained with and I packed out. I made sure, I packed everything that I was going to bring, weighed it, and then I trained with that amount of weight. So my backpack was a 38-liter Osprey Kestrel. is what we use. My son had a similar backpack.
Yep.
It might be a little bit too big depending on how much weight you're going to bring.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are pretty big packs. So
They're looking at a 20-something ounce, 21, 22
liter pack. That's perfect.
Deuter, D-U,
Yeah,
D-U,
that's
D-U,
perfect.
okay, cool,
Perfect size
cool.
because, again,
Yeah, thanks, Les, for that. Les,
when you're
thanks,
traveling on the plane, you don't want to check your bag.
Yes.
You want it to be able to fit in the overhead. Ours fit. They were kind of big.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything, but who knows what they'd say nowadays. People might get a little bit upset.
And I've heard, I think I'm going to use sticks, and they said buy them there. Somebody said buy them there. They're everywhere because you bring them, and now you can't check them, and now you might lose them or whatever. And part of that is the walking thing of it and getting the all-over body workout, saving your knees, saving from falls and low light and all that kind of stuff. Also, because we're on this podcast, weapon. Like I've heard of dogs, I've heard of people. Like I've heard it's very, very safe. But I'm still me, right? So I'm like, I'll stick this in your eye, right?
I'm just like you are. Yeah. I'm kind of nervous and worried too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great point. We did not use walking sticks.
Yep.
We saw a lot of people out there with them though.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a great point to have a weapon out there if you need to. Because if you're not checking in your baggage, you can't bring any sort of weaponry, knives or anything with you. You'd have to buy it out there if you were going to do something like that.
Yep.
And then I don't know the laws regarding that, So
and that's the the what ifs, and it's not premeditated. I'm going to go stab a dude, but like I teach this, you know this.
Right.
So I'm talking to travelers. I have a class called a curriculum called Traveling Abroad, and I'm like, show up, go to the hardware store, buy a $3 screwdriver, right? And you're like, Roger that. It's like this is for my camera. It's like, well, no, it's for somebody's getting after my girls. I'm going to stick it in their eye.
Right.
That's the deal.
For sure.
And otherwise, it's going to live here. I'm going to throw it in the trash on the way out of town. Whatever.
Just throw it out when you're done.
So okay. So I'm sorry. So going through.
Let's
what
see
you had in your pack.
what else we got. So make sure you've got breathable underwear. You don't want the cotton underwear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hot, sweaty. You want to be breathing there. And I got this little bar of Glide. Have you heard of Glide for reducing friction for blisters, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a little tiny brick of that. The other big thing, socks. Yes. You got to make sure you're training with different types of socks and seeing what works best for your feet with your shoe wear. So I actually use the Darn Tough lightweight socks.
Mm-hmm.
I tried a few different brands and it just didn't feel right. The Darn Toughs felt amazing.
Yep.
Tied with my shoes, they were outstanding.
Good.
And the shoe wear, a lot of people say hiking shoes, you got a backpack.
Hiking boots, yeah.
Hiking boots, you got to protect your ankles. You don't need to worry about that. The heavier your shoe wear are, that's more stress on your body.
Did you 10, 15 miles a day? Is that about right, or where did you go with that? Because
I want to think the shortest day was probably 10 to 12 miles. The longest, 19, 20.
Oh wow!
So it varied. It depends.
Because I've heard of people like it's not like everybody's like, dude, that's not bad. Every single day, like if you have any hiccups with a blister. Every single day means no healing time, no downtime, no time to rest, and now you got a situation. Like you're 5 days in of a 15-day thing, and you got a blister. It's like that could be index, right? Because now it just gets worse and worse.
Now
and worse.
you might have to spend more time in one city, resting and recovering before you can continue on.
Yes.
So, and I'll tell you a funny story. My sister brought sandals. Mm-hmm. She was thinking hiking sandals are great. I love them out here in the States. When I go hiking, I wear them. She brought those. Didn't do well the first day. Borrowed a pair of my shoes that were slightly too big for her for the second day. Her entire feet were blistered up.
Oh, no.
And they felt fine when she was walking, but by the end of the day, after probably a 15-mile day, her feet blistered up and blew up on the second day. Oh, no. So she was fighting issues for the rest of our time. So it's so important to make sure you're training. You ensure that the shoes don't have any hot spots. Your socks are working right before you go.
Yeah. We do right now. We do on Sundays. Certain select Sundays, we'll go out and do longer walks, meaning 6 miles. The goal is to get them. And I told them well before it's time. To like you don't want to jam up your feet or something, but a month before we're planning on doing a weekend, and maybe we go up to Breckenridge or something like that, and we hike a full day, and then do the routine in a hotel. And then to hike a full day, and that's going to be a lot for them. But it's like, hey, we've built up to this. This will be 2 weeks nonstop, right? And then one thing that I thought about is like, if we get into a jam with something, it's not like we're not going to make it. You're going to end up there, but it's like, it's not a lot of distance. So if you had a problem, you're like, let's hang out here another day and let's cheat forward in a cab. And it's right there. You know what I mean? It's not like it's 15 miles, right? So you can correct and do all that. Again, focus is my time with them, not being so legalistic to where it's we did the whole thing all the way from whatever, you know.
And a lot of people did that. A lot of the hikers did do that. They bust to the next city because their feet were just trash and they couldn't do it. Some spent 3 days where we ended in Logroño. Some of our friends stayed there for about 3 days to rest their feet because they didn't have the right shoe wear. So, you know.
Was that lack of breaking it in and training, or do you think it was just, man, I don't, you know, the terrain or whatever? All the above. All the above.
I think all the above. Just don't think they prepped or thought enough about their feet. That's the most important part.
Oh, yeah.
And if that goes wrong, you're down.
So you recommended, and I went off that, and by the way, if you're local here in the South Denver area, the outlet malls by my house have an Ultra store.
Oh.
I mean, it's fantastic. Like, I forget what I paid, but it was, then I'm like, hey man, I know this is the Ultras, which, right? Is that what you recommend?
Ultras.
You can get them and try them for 30 days, right? And if somebody tries them, they go, I'm not doing it. They bring them back, and then it reduces the price, and for the price, then it's a military discount, and they just honor all that stuff at outlet stores. So I got some really good ones with the wide toe box and all that, like you said. And now I'm going to start getting used to that, because the ones I heard they started doing that, like what you did. Getting used to that, your Achilles and those different muscles, to not having a rise at all in the heel.
Right.
So I know it's a more natural thing. When I was younger, I didn't do the toe ones because those are creepy. I figured it freaked me out. But the ones, the same concept, I used to work out and walk and run in the barefoot shoes.
Those are the zero drop too. But if you haven't been wearing them for a while.
A long time.
Now you get into a zero drop. Even though I trained for 3-4 months before our hike, I was feeling great. After the second day, I started feeling my Achilles. I was like, wait a minute, this is weird. I've never felt this before. So I had to get a little heel counter at the cobbler's store in Spain. You know, searching around, who's got like a gel little counter to put under my heel to lift my foot, my heel up just a tiny bit.
I heard people like huck their shoe, they get cut like boots, and like, I'm not wearing these. So you go pick it up, cut the back of the sole out, and put it in your shoe. You
could, definitely.
So head to toe, you talk about sun hat, let's just work down the body, glasses, lightweight, breathable.
Shirt. I brought probably 2 lightweight, breathable polyester shirts, right? Jacket. Lightweight jacket that's packable, that you can just compress and it weighs nothing.
Waterproof for rain, or did you do?
I did do a rain poncho. That's all we did for rain gear. Our packs have the little rain cover, but if it's a downpour, what do you got to do for your body, right? And then is rain going to get between you and the pack? So we did rain ponchos that covered us and the packs, which was great. It worked out really nice. And we only had to use it for that one day, but and they were ventable, which was really nice. I could, unzip the sides, get some breathing room in there. It was perfect. And then let's see, underwear, right? Make sure they're breathable, polyester underwear. Pants.
You know what you went with? A buddy of mine told me about this, and I used to use this brand all the time when I was deploying overseas. It was Ex Officio. They make a brief, and the guy's like, that's the only brand. He's like, you got to get those, right? I'm like, roger that.
I went with an Adidas. Breathable, but
same kind of thing.
Make sure that they're not cotton, for sure.
Wool warms, cotton kills, just so you know. Wool warms, cotton kills. My kids know this. Their grand family sayings are coming back, right? But it's like, wool is like breathable and all that stuff, but now these synthetics and all that kind of stuff, just cotton's bad
synthetics
news.
Are great, And then shorts and pants. I had 1 pair of shorts and 1 pair of convertible pants. So I could zip off for shorts, or I could zip on for long pants if it was cold.
That's a good point. So now you've got pants and shorts, pants/shorts, but then also...
But then, 2 shorts in essence, because of convertible pants.
No kind of thermal layer. You didn't need enough to wear like a long job. I've got the super lightweight Kuyus, which are, you can literally just drop trowel, unzip, pull them off without pulling your boots off, because they're like, they get the side zippers. But I was just thinking about that extra material that might rub walking that much. I just don't know. But they're fantastic. I really dig them. But I
brought the thermals for sleeping with more than anything. I don't think I used them though.
Okay.
I had them in my pack, but I didn't use them. I just used my shorts and a T-shirt.
Yeah.
If it got too cold, I had my jacket if I needed to, or my convertible pants. So it was just extra ounces I had that I didn't really use.
Yep. Ounces turn to pounds. BK, you know this. How many pairs of change-out clothes?
So I had 2 T-shirts, 1 pair of shorts, 1 convertible pants. I think I had, 3 underwear, 3 socks, and that was it.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
We washed, every night I'm washing what I just wore, letting them dry overnight, and make sure you bring carabiners.
Yes.
Because if things don't dry overnight and you need to hang them while you're hiking the next day to dry out for your next day, you can hang them.
I kind of got obsessive at one point about what's the lightest drying line you could do. And thinking about this, but then I was also on BDRs, and I went with all these different hooks, and I'm on Amazon buying these cheap little hooks and doing stuff, and I was like, what if you got rid of the hooks and did knots? So then I did knots, where it's like and then one sock, shirt, and all that stuff. And it weighs nothing. I was like, why am I using paracord? This doesn't weigh 550 pounds. So I went with a lighter line. It was like orange. And I'm like, somebody's going to walk by and it's like, it's going to cut to their bone because I'm hanging my little whatever lightweight line. Awesome. And then socks, yes. And then all that in your pack. Awesome, man. This is all goodness. The water. So I just bought, and I'm trying this out. I like that they counter each other. I might wear them up front, but 2 20-ounce bottles of water. Meaning refillable. Good, bad, too much, too little?
I think everybody's different. I don't drink a ton of water throughout the day, usually more at night for some reason. I had 1 water bottle, probably a 20-ounce. But then those just plastic water bottles you buy from the grocery store or the convenience store that are disposable, we just reused them.
Yeah.
I'd probably buy one. Once you drink it, I'd refill it and then just use that as an extra bottle.
That might be better.
In case. And that was a little lighter than another water bottle. That might weigh a few more ounces than just that little.
That's what they showed up, and they weren't expensive, but they were the vacuum wall, blah blah blah. And as soon as I pulled them out, I'm like, these are way heavier than I thought. You know what I mean? So I might use them locally here and not take them at all. But then I thought about that. Go to the store and get those and then just refill them. And then if you lose it or throw it away, just buy another one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're so much lighter.
Yep.
So, I'm looking at my notes. International travel, that'll be sorted. Then we fly in, the bus. So you already you've already figured out the flight to the bus to get you there, right? Okay, so I'm going to look into that. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Just walk us through your routine. You woke up in the morning.
Wake up in the morning. Usually a lot of these hostels, albergues, they have breakfast for you the next morning. But breakfast is usually bread, butter, and jam. And coffee.
There it is.
Maybe some orange juice. That's about it.
Woo-hoo!
Right?
BK's like,
That's usually
where's
the
the
breakfast that you get. So I mean, hence why it's usually included, right?
Yeah.
It's not very much cost for the hostels there. But
do you remember the price on those? Because I've seen them and I just don't. I know they're not expensive.
Usually for the whole stay.
For the stay.
Probably 20 to 40 per person. 20 to 40 US dollars per person, just kind of depending upon where you're staying. I think there was one that was about $8 to $10 a piece.
Okay.
It's pretty cheap.
The one you were talking about?
Probably the one, I think it was the one that had
the one with the side of scabies. Yeah, it's like awesome. Hey, awesome.
Dirty.
Thank you.
It's like, I don't know if I want to even touch that.
You owe me money. Right.
Right. I mean, even the toilet didn't really have a toilet. It was the hole in the ground.
There it is. Win in Rome, baby. Win in Rome.
I know.
Did you bring any kind of like wipes or anything like that? Like that's one of the benefits of having children. One of the many beautiful benefits is there's always wipes and there's always food. There's always snacks. There's always wipes.
We didn't bring wipes. I brought hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer? Yeah.
Yeah, I figured the wipes were a little heavy. I don't know how many I'm going to need, and I didn't want to bring too much, too little, so I just brought sanitizer.
Yeah. Have you seen these? Is it crocodile or gator? There's like these gator wipes. That's like Rachel Graham's speed right there. They're big. I think they're called crocodile wipes. And they're like big. They're this big. Like when you open it up, it's this big, and it's not paper, it's cloth. Oh. That would be, if she was doing this, that would be like on my back. And she'd be like the whole thing, right? And, well, she doesn't do the hand sanitizer, but yeah, she'd be like, wiping it off. Okay,
shampoo.
Shampoo, okay.
You said something about, what did you say? cleaning. How do you stay
clean.
clean,
Yeah.
right? So we brought a bar of soap that we'd use as shampoo, soap for our bodies, and to wash our clothes with. Kind of did everything. So that's what we use. And it was funny because I actually ran out. I guess I used my soap too quickly. And I'm like, I need more. I don't have another bar. What do I do? But that's what we use for soap and to stay clean and keep our clothes clean.
And also for laundry. That's awesome.
Yeah, for laundry.
For electronics, thank you, BK.
Yes.
I have literally been on trips overseas where I was like, I was the guy that plugged the printer in. And we call it smoke check. Check and see if smoke will come out of that. Okay, now I know smoke will come out of that, right? Pop, like, uh-oh. So adapters, converters, all of that stuff. Does this phone, if I plugged it straight into the wall, am I going to see some fireworks? What's happening?
You need to have the adapter.
That kicks it down?
Whatever that adapter is, that will plug into the European plug or outlet. So you need to make sure you get a Spain converter to plug into those outlets.
Okay.
And you'll be fine. It's got USB, USB-C, it's got everything to plug right into your phone, and it should be fine.
Did you do a battery pack to augment it throughout the day?
I had a battery pack for all of us just in case.
Just in case, okay.
In case you run out of battery and now you're in the middle of nowhere, you can plug.
And those are getting
in.
pretty small, so they're not heavy box anymore. They're like a sliver.
Little thing. My son would listen to music the entire day, so I'm like, you need to make sure you don't run out of battery. But if you do, here's the little battery pack.
Yeah.
But just make sure you're okay. So we definitely made sure we were all set.
Yeah, that's cool. I just talked to somebody about this because they requested it. Again, that travel abroad deal is before you go. Actually, I used to do this, and this is good for everybody to know because when I was talking to him, I was thinking about this is when I would go to a foreign country, there's a thing called AFAM, Area Familiarization, right? So say I go to Kirkuk, Iraq, I would get to Kirkuk, Iraq, or let's see, I'll just do Kabul, Afghanistan, because that's actually the one I'm thinking. I would go there, and they're like, your job for a couple days, actually a couple weeks, was drive this town and learn it. Because the next time you drive it, you might have people shooting at you, and you need to go right now, and you always got to find the embassy or where your boys are, where the friendly places are. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I would take a section of the map, and I would draw it. So so say where we are right now, and in South Denver, you would draw I-25, you draw I-70, 470, and you'd segment it. So your crosshairs is basically I-25 and I-70, right? But then I would take a section of it and I would draw those roads. Not every cross street, obviously, but the main roads and what connected. And I would do it to memory. Then I would do the next section. Then I would do the next section. Then I would do the next section. I would do it so much that I could basically draw the entire town. And what that does for you is if you know where the embassy is and you know the ocean's right here or whatever, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I know how to get home, because from memory now, I'm going and doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And in some instances, I could get out of I would know more than my hometown. I would know where everything, like sometimes you're like, I've never been on the road. Where's like, I don't know, whatever. Or you're like, what neighborhood am I in? And actually where, again, Perry Saw giving you a shout. He's like, most of my life, I just haven't known where I was. And I'm like, he's like, I'm just going to follow Everett. Like, we're just like, I don't know. Like if I had to put a pin in the earth, not sure, but it's really good to know great. In this world, I'm here and my home is here and that's northwest and I can see the mountains. So I'm going to head that way, So even more importantly, not more importantly, but along with that is going into another town or where you're at regionally. Where's the embassy? Where's the consulate? Where's the government buildings and all that kind of, it's just kind of nice, or at least to have them in your phone. So now when you're like, you're bleeding out and you call the number or whatever,
right.
Where could I get to? It's like, it's not far and I could go there because I need a cop right now or something like that. Or things go sideways because you're in a different country. Now there's instability and you're the dude without a home, so that's just something else to consider. Again, I've heard nothing but safe. And did you ever feel in danger?
Not once.
Okay, not once.
Not
So that's
at
good.
all.
Okay.
Yeah. And talking about the maps, every time we got to our destination, there was internet, there was Wi-Fi. We were able to pull up as soon as you got into the town to figure out where the hostel albergue is. Mm-hmm. And we knew exactly where we were going to go. What we probably should have done is start it, saved it. This is a favorite for my son to know. Because he would leave ahead of us on his own. and get to the destination before us. And there were times where we're like, where are you? Oh, I'm just walking down the road over here. I didn't go yet. We'll meet you at the hostel. But I don't know if your girls are going to separate from you at all.
Not at all. So girls, none of that, man. It's like dad and his screwdriver are right here, and that's where
For sure. just,
I know people are watching it and they're like, look at this crazy, paranoid, ugly American. It's like, hey,
But
brother.
it's probably good for
that's
them
the
to
deal.
know exactly where they're going to go
Yeah, absolutely.
in case
Absolutely.
something happens.
Yeah.
And they separate. For some reason, they know where to go
Yeah.
and meet up. This is where we're going to
Okay.
meet up. This is where we're going
That's
to be.
right.
Every
Awesome.
town. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that.
And let's see, what else? Med kit.
Med kit.
Because I know you're going to bring a med kit.
Probably something, right? I mean, you look at the research, and a lot of people are doing. Have you ever heard of threading, like threading a blister and all that stuff? Did you mess
Yes.
with that?
We didn't do that.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't need to because you got one.
I didn't need to. My sister probably needed to. We
Yeah.
brought the moleskin and all that, but I would say I brought too much in a med kit.
Okay.
Too heavy, too many supplies that we didn't need. And you can mostly find everything in every city and town you get to, if not walk through during
Yeah.
the day. But Advil and I'd say Imodium just in case.
Just in case, because you never know.
You never know. You want to make sure you have that and you're not searching around a town for Imodium.
On your heels, yeah. It's like, oh, hey,
So-
don't go with the shrimp paella. Right on. And this, like I said, this will be a drill for me because I'll be the dude with the AED on my back. I'm like, hey, man, I got my babies with me. We're doing
I
this.
know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see, what's next? I know some people did the Pilgrim's Breakfast, right? And by the way, these aren't like, I'm going on vacation, I'll stay there for $8 a night. It's for pilgrims. So that's the shell denotes, and your passport is like, hey, we're doing this thing. That's why people make a living out of their side room or their
Right,
thing and all that kind of
right.
stuff. So you have your Pilgrim's Breakfast, which isn't much.
Mm-hmm.
They would get on the road, sometimes even skip it, and then get coffee along the way. And I guess that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Are you a coffee drinker?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. There were a few places where we'd stop and get coffee, but every little village you pass through, depending upon the size, some are too small to have restaurants or anything.
Yeah.
But most of them had places you can stop and get food. You'd see the other pilgrims stopping there and having breakfast or having lunch, and you're like, okay, everybody else is here. I might as well stop and eat here too.
Yeah.
It seems like the food might be okay. So yeah, there were a lot of places and opportunity to grab lunch as you go. But we did bring snacks just in case. We're out, we don't find anywhere to eat, we're starving, we need to eat something. We did bring some
Granola bar,
snacks.
candy bar, what kind of snacks are we talking?
More like salami, cheeses.
Oh, you're Perry Saul in it. Oh yeah, he's like he pulls out the tray. You're like, does anybody want? What was it? It was something like pastrami. Does anybody want? I'm like, yep, pastrami. And I look in, there's a deli, like meat and cheese tray on the BDR, and I'm like, yes, I do. By the way,
And they didn't spoil. Like there were times where I'm like, these are warm and been sitting in our packs for hours. Is it still okay to eat?
Food's different.
It is different
They're
out
like,
there.
yeah, it's gonna knock the salt's gonna knock you out, but it's like it's
Yeah.
been hanging in the window for a month and a half,
But
another
it was-
couple
it
of
was
days.
Fine. We never got sick.
Yeah,
So but you got to remember the weight.
yeah,
The weight of food and the water. You have to add that to your training to make sure you account for that.
Yeah.
Because food can be 2 to 3 pounds.
yeah.
And when you've been training 21 pounds and you add another 3, it's like, wait a minute, this feels different.
I just admittedly, I'm that guy. Like if it'll fit, it's coming. Because what if? And now that all of a sudden you're the guy with veins popping out of your legs because you're like,
Right.
well, what if Of course, I need a full roll of duct tape. What if we get into like a crash and I need to tape stop? So this will be a good exercise for me, like psychologically, it'll be great. What kind of so you stop for lunch? What would you be eating?
Just the local food at those villages. So those egg tortas or tarts or tortillas we were talking about, that was a big staple out there. It's kind of like
Like
almost
an omelet?
like an omelet,
Like a
but or a souffle of
Yeah.
some sort, right? With egg and onion, ham, whatever it is. That was all over the place. But for lunches, that's usually the staple. That's
Yeah.
what you eat. You just find whatever's on the route, a sandwich or something.
Yeah.
One of these places had a huge slice of watermelon. I'm like, oh, give me that. I need some hydration and sugar.
Yeah.
It was great. It's fantastic. But yeah, the dinners, are usually in the cities where you arrive to for the evening. and you're able to find restaurants in that city with more upscale
Fish,
food.
chicken, steak, yeah.
Yes. So
Got it in there.
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome. That's exciting. This all sounds great because I'm fasting right now. So this is like, I'm down. Like, egg, bring it. What, chicken? Come on now. That's so cool. So you get there, you already had reservations. So find the place, get in, check in, laundry,
Yes.
hang up, change
Right
out.
away.
You know what UFOs are?
What
I think
is
I'm saying that right. UFO.
UFO.
So my family tells me about this, and then I'm looking into it. So for one of the young men in my family, he runs track, and as soon as he's running and doing all that long training, he's out of those. And UFO is like a recovery.
Oh,
It's like the
shoot.
foam kind of shoe that's like a
Okay.
slip-on, or now they make tennis shoes and all that, but it's designed to like do the opposite of what you just did running forever.
Gotcha,
Right? So now I was
gotcha.
like, well, maybe I get some of those, and then head to dinner wearing your deal. It's not like a,
That's kinda cool.
You can wear those to dinner, right? It's like overseas. It's not like,
Absolutely.
hey man, what's up with
Oh
the
yeah, I
Anglo-American?
wouldn't put
Yeah.
my shoes usually back on. I
Right,
got my
right.
flip flops.
And now they're
on.
drying out. You're kind of healing your feet, drying them out, lubing them up. Did you do that? Did you? Because I know some people like they lube them up. What is it called? Two Toms. Two Toms is like a sport glide.
Okay.
One of my buddies that walked for 6 months, that new friend, was telling me about that. Where it's like that, like all this stuff, and his feet and all that
first thing in the
stuff.
morning before they go.
Yeah. Did you do your toes and your feet and
I
all that
did
stuff?
not do
Okay.
that because those Ultra Temps that I used, the toe box was so wide, my toes had so much room. They didn't touch anything.
Okay.
I didn't get any blisters on my toes at all. The only blister I had was on my heel. It was like a pinpoint blister on the last day, an hour out from our city.
Last day, bring it.
Last
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
right? And I was like, what is that feeling on my heel? Maybe I got to tighten my shoe up a little bit. But by the time we got to that village an hour later, I had a little tiny pinprick blister on my heel. That was all I had for 9 days.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
good.
amazing.
That's legit.
But those shoes are so wide that my toes didn't need anything.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into them. I just got them recently, and I'm super excited about those. So I'll put some time into them and train up, so
Yeah,
I'm not
definitely.
having a situation. And then, just in case I do, my feet aren't adapting. You literally went to a cobbler store and just got a section of, was it foam to lift up the, what was
It
it?
was an actual like a gel heel cup.
Okay.
Like you find like a Dr. Scholl's, you go to like
Yeah.
Walgreens and you need a little gel
Should I
cup.
buy one of those and bring it just in case?
If you're gonna just bring those Ultras,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I'm
I
thinking
probably
just the
would.
Ultras
and you
and
can
maybe those
interchange them
UFOs
in and
in.
out every other day,
To just kind of,
just to change it out a little bit for your feet,
yeah, that might not be a bad idea.
instead of waiting till you have an issue.
Yep,
Because then it might be too late.
yep.
So that was the other thing is sometimes, if you have another pair of shoes that you like, that you've trained with, that feel comfortable, you can bring a second pair
Yeah.
to switch in and out of. That might help too.
Staying clean, hygiene, all that kind of stuff. Just when you got there,
Yeah.
just
We
hit
showered,
the shower up, get cleaned up,
Cleaned up
do
our
your laundry, go
did
to
our
dinner,
laundry, went
wake
to
up,
dinner.
and then get after it. Did you bring I'm a headlamp dude. I like lights. I just whatever. I'm telling the girls they've got a red lens the headlamps already. Bring that thing so when you're doing stuff, you're not waking up your 99 other pilgrims in the
Yeah,
night.
it depends on how early you're getting up.
That's a good point. I've heard get up early so you're guaranteed in the next town to have a room.
And it's
but if some
cooler.
dude jumps in a car and you're like, well, come on, dude. Is that what you did? Did you get, and by early, you had a teenager. Define early. Because
There
early
was
for
some-
me.
There was 2 mornings we left at about 6 o'clock in the morning because we knew we had a long, long day.
Yeah.
And it was hot. So we got out early
Yeah.
to catch the coolness in the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
And then try to get to our destination before it gets really, really hot
Yeah.
in the late afternoon, mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
So there were a couple mornings where we were up at 6 o'clock in the morning before the sun was even up. As we're walking out, it's still dark. But we didn't have headlamps. We just
Excuse me.
bless you, we just used our phone lamps.
Okay.
The lights on our phone.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what we use. But
Cool. Yeah, that's, with young ladies being considerate of what, they need to stay clean, all that kind
Yep,
of stuff. I'm
yep.
thinking about giving them the full experience, but then maybe surprising them on a day where we're like, let's stay here another day. Or see that really nice hotel, let's do, that would be a really cool break for them to
Yeah.
let's sleep in.
For sure.
You know, and then let's do this, and just
Instead of
shoot a little bit
grinding
shorter.
every single day.
Because I may have
would
been
be
known
cool.
to do the old
Because
6 in the
usually
morning that we're
that's what
burning
I'm like.
daylight. Let's get after it.
Yep.
Enjoy a steak dinner
No
and a
rest.
beer, and then just chill and
keep going.
whatever. They're like, okay, this stopped being fun a minute ago. Awesome. Comms. Not radios, but phone. Do you remember doing an international plan before you left? I know Verizon, I think you can pay and say for a month, I want this, and then turn it back off kind of thing. Is that?
So we made sure our phones were set up for international service before we left. And then once you're there, I don't know if it's changed in the last 5-6 years, but once you touch down in Europe, your phone will alert you and say, would you like to purchase additional data for your phone? And I was like, really, is it really going to alert me when I'm out there? But it did. And you can pick which plan you want.
Okay.
So I picked the biggest, fastest speed, because when you're kind of in the middle of nowhere and you have barely a signal, you want to make sure you can still see your route on your phone and where you are.
Yep.
Or if you need to connect with somebody or text somebody, you can still do that.
Yep.
There were times where the upload of the maps on our Google Maps, whatever you use, Apple Maps, it was slow because the data was not working very fast. So it's like, oh gosh, are we going to be able to see where we are and where this town is and village is? So,
Did you go with a paper guidebook, or were you all phone?
we did a paper guidebook. We just tore out the map sections. We all took pictures of it before the evening before
No, that's
the
a good
next
thinking,
day. So at least we had a picture of it and we could see. But the route is laid out perfectly. There are yellow arrows pointing you in the direction.
Seashell.
Yep, and a seashell. Sometimes it's stamped into the concrete, sometimes it's painted somewhere, but there are so many signs of the route. You shouldn't get lost, even if you didn't have a map or see the route. Yeah, just walking, you'd be able to go through the route on your own. Yep.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. It's exciting. So yeah, I think it was at Verizon. I asked them because I was doing something else, and they were like, "Yeah, extend this and pay another $100. I think it's $100 a month." Saying you're only gonna be there a month, then just do it this way. If yours 2 months is a different thing, but if you're gonna go for there, up it, get there. It wasn't like switch out SIM cards. It was none of that. It was like,
just get it done before you leave. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. The what are some things that I had? I had a buddy, or like I said, a new buddy that I met in Texas, and he had walked for 6 months, like in the States, and he had just learned a lot of stuff. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. But anything else like, hey, you're gonna see this.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. You know, those flip-flops you're talking about is a great idea. I just wonder on the weight, how heavy those things are.
Yeah.
But that's a great recovery tool to have, because I just remember our feet were swollen at the end of every day, at the end of every hike. We were popping Advil to help decrease the swelling, right? Hopefully for the next day. And usually we recovered.
Yeah.
But that sounds like a great thing to have.
I think of Crocs. They're not Crocs, right? And you would probably be the dude with the socks and the thing, whatever. I don't know. But they don't weigh much of anything, right? And if they're pretty popular, I've seen them in stores and all that kind of stuff. So at least try those out, because I know sometimes my feet react to some kind of shoes, those synthetics, where it really dries them out bad. Where if that kept going, because I've tried them and I'm like, oh, these aren't going to work, and just chunked it like a cheap sandal or something.
Right.
But just for dinner, that might not be that big a deal. But if that wasn't corrected, they would dry so much they would crack. Which now you're in a spot again situation.
Yeah. Definitely try them out before you go. But that's
so no kind
idea.
of gator around your foot. Like they make these things for walkers that it's just literally a very thin thing from gravel getting in there, but not necessary.
No, we didn't use I made sure my socks were 3/4 length socks to rise a little bit above the shoe line.
Okay.
So I wouldn't get as much gravel inside of my sock to my foot. In the shoe, you might get a little bit, but I made sure I had 3/4.
And you're walking on a mix. It could be dirt, it could be gravel,
Everything.
it could be grass, it could be pavement, just whatever. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. He talked about a recovery shoe. He talked about ex officio underwear. He talked about those gaiters, just a walker's gaiter, not a full-on one. I think a gaiter it goes up. And then Prana pants is what he went with, like the brand Prana that were very lightweight and then convertible and all that.
Right.
And the 2-Tom Sport Shield roll-on, something called Vivo Barefoot. I don't know what that is. Maybe a shoe? I don't know. I never
I'm
heard of
not
it.
sure. I've not heard of that.
But yeah, I was just taking notes when I was talking to this dude in Texas, and the guy
Okay.
just walked. Like, if you walk for 6 months, you know some stuff.
Yeah,
so
for
I've
sure.
incorporated it on my list. All right, brother. Anything else? Because that is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. And my brother Steve Klein, he had to work tonight. This was kind of it fit. Thank you for making yourself available tonight.
Absolutely.
We've been trying to get Melissa on, and she's when she went into different endeavors, we want to really capture that time that she's been here, because she's just been awesome for so long. And we've been playing this time, and you were available, and you popped in and filled it.
Yeah,
But
I'm glad
rain
to be
check,
here.
Steve Klein, and we'll talk about it. He's like, I can't wait to see it. And I've got to teach tonight, and all this other stuff. But I'll catch up with a pipe, and we'll chat, and then when I come back, man, we'll do it again and just kind of talk about how it all went.
that would be
So I'm
great.
really, really excited about just all of that stuff. And so now, after having done it, and you and your son and your sister, and now, I don't know, you reminisce about it, or did you watch? How'd you learn about it? Let's do that, because I
My
missed that part.
sister brought it up. I'd never heard of it before. And she said, hey, what do you think about doing a hike with Alexander, my son? And I was like, what hike are you thinking? And she brought this up. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it sounds pretty interesting. I at first was kind of hesitant, because I was thinking, man, this is going to be a rough hike.
Yeah.
It's not just a hike. It's a lengthy hike
Yeah.
over, if you did the whole route, it's over 500 miles.
Yeah.
It takes over 30 some odd days to
Mm-hmm.
do this, right? If you're doing it every day. But no, that's how I was introduced to it, and we looked it up, and it seemed really cool to do.
I've heard many people say this about their entire experience. Life changing, and I will do it again. Do you concur?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Do
is
you have plans? Are you
life-changing.
going back? Or
I don't have plans. What I said before, after we got done, I'd love to go back to where I finished and just take it up from
going.
there on. But if I bring another kid, I can't start them kind of midway through.
Why not?
I got to start them at the beginning.
Well, they might
I'd have
finish, right?
I might just have them start and just meet up with them where
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ended, and then take it on.
Yeah, and it's all
with
ages,
them.
right? You see older folks out there, you see they're
Oh,
just
yeah.
walking slower, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say, hey man, this is your Camino. I said, this is your walk.
Yes.
Don't let people tell you what to like, oh, you cheater, you did the thing, and I did this, and I carried more pounds than you. It's like, shut up. Like, get away from me, whatever. And it's not even that thing anyways, from what I hear, it's amazing.
It is.
Very
It
safe.
is.
Meeting people from different cultures all the time, and then just really, it's like turning off the distractions and doing something. Something about being in a foreign country is super cool.
Yeah, and the people there, the locals that see you on the route, are always saying "Buen Camino, Buen Camino." So you learn to say that back. Thank you. Like you learn
Yeah.
to say thank you to them, because you're hearing it all day long.
Yeah.
From the locals that know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool. And the people that you meet, usually you start with the people and you end with the same people.
Yeah.
You're doing the route
doing it
together,
too.
and you
Yeah.
see them in all the cities that you end up in every night, and you kind of start talking and getting to know them a little bit better. So you make lifelong friends during this journey too,
That's cool, man.
which is really neat.
That's super cool.
It's really neat.
All right, so the way that I learned about it was that Steve Klein, when we do our first class, typically the first class to start the tactical track is that, the POP, protecting our people, principles of protection, it means both. But we start off with an icebreaker that says, first name, hometown, favorite movie. And he says, first name, hometown. He says, The Way. And I'm like, The Way? And he's like, Martin Sheen,
Right.
Emilio Estevez, because there's a movie about it. And I watched it, and I was like, because I learned my movies that I'm going to go watch, and I watched
Yeah.
it, and they're like, oh, we'll check it out. It was amazing, but it talks about a real pilgrimage walk that happens in Spain, and then there's a kind of a fictional, story in there.
Yeah.
But that kind of sank the hook. And the more research I did, I'm like, I'm doing this. Like at some point in time, I'm doing this. And I've seen pastors take it a bunch of dudes. I've seen families like yours. I've seen people that solo it. I've seen people like if you go onto YouTube and type in Camino De Santiago, there's like a man and a woman that are fantastic. I think they're funny and all that. And they help you out so much, and it just really struck them. So now their deal is this is what they do.
Yeah.
The guy Ivar that is with Camino Forum, this is a business. Like he's sending me the shells and the stuff, so I don't have to mess with it when I get there. We just jump right into it. But highly recommend people looking into it and consider it. It might be something cool that's life changing. that you do. Again, maybe it's a bucket list, maybe it's you and a buddy, maybe it's you and a spouse, whatever. But check it out. Yeah, I think you might be surprised. So thanks again, my brother.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. I'm going to say, so before I do the full wrap off, I've got a couple recommendations, and this is for you too, Al Peng. Yep. Ignition Men's Cadre started last night. It's Tuesdays, 6:30 to 8 p.m. That's hosted. It's at Brave Church Inglewood. If you want to find more out about it, go to brave.org. Then it'll say Next Steps. Then it'll say Weekly Cadres. Then it'll say Ignition. So go and register. There's no cost for that, but every Tuesday we're getting after it. The first Tuesday of the month we do a communal prayer with the church, but we are an amazing group of men that are going really deep, really quick, and just getting after it, and it's super, super cool. That's on Tuesdays, right? Warrior Summit, Brave, Inglewood. This means annual Warrior Summit of just getting together and trying to get people on fire for serving. That is the 1st of February, February 1, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., an all-day thing, and that's on a Saturday, right? That's at brave.org/events. I'm going to challenge you to do one more, so kick it in. That's Saturday, February 1st, and then the following, which is Super Bowl weekend, but Men Who Make a Difference is a seminar summit. They're launching this deal. They've honored me by asking me to be the guest speaker. So I will be the guest speaker there. There will be a panel discussion. That one's going to be strictly targeting, calling you out actually. What are you doing? There's a mess going on. You're the problem. You're also the solution. That's a good thing. But join us as we become part of this solution, right? So that's at the Denver West Marriott, February 8th. That one is from, I believe it's 5 to 8:30. If I didn't write it on here, but it's 5 to 8:30. For more of that, menwhomakeadifference.com. So somebody should do something. You should do something, and I'm calling you out right now. So get to those things. Look at Ignition Men's Cadre at Brave Church, Warrior Summit on February 1st at brave.org, and then Men Who Make a Difference at menwhomakeadifference.com. Other than that, man, check out this community that we're all a part of at ableshepherd.com, and on YouTube, we're pushing a lot of stuff to the YouTube channel. It's going to be that hub for people that come and just learn more about us. So now I'll wrap up saying I love you guys. God bless each and every one of you. Until we see you again, take care of one another. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again for another episode. Please be sure to follow us and support us on all of the social media. That's Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. All of that starts by visiting ableshepherd.com.